All right, let's get right into it. We're going to explore an idea today that might just flip the way you think about all those years you spent in school. The big idea is this. What if you weren't really being educated? What if you were being trained?
So let's just start with a question that might sting a little bit. After all that time, all those lectures, all those tests, why is it that the one skill that matters most, how to actually think for yourself, was never really on the syllabus? I mean, just think about the sheer volume of time. We're talking over 10,000 hours, and that's probably a lowball estimate. 10,000 hours of your life spent inside a classroom. It's a massive, massive investment. So where did it all go? Let's figure that out.
To really get to the bottom of this, we have to take a step back and ask a really basic question about school itself. What was the whole point?
I think this is what we all hoped for, right? This is the promise of education, a system that's supposed to build up our minds, give us the tools to reason, to poke holes in bad arguments, and to get a real handle on how the world actually works.
But the reality for most of us was, well, something else. The game wasn't about deep understanding. The game was about two things: how well you could memorize information for the test, and how well you followed the rules. Do that, and you get the good grade. Simple. And that right there, that brings us to the core of this whole thing. The argument is that the system wasn't really trying to educate you, it was trying to train you. And believe me, there is a world of difference between those two things.
Okay, so let's break this down because the difference is huge. Training, that's the column on the left, prepares you to function. It's about creating predictable people who follow instructions and do the job. It rewards obedience. Education, on the other hand, is about preparing you to understand. It's messy. It creates independent thinkers who are always asking why and what if. One path creates cogs for the machine, the other creates people who can design a whole new machine.
So you have to ask, why? Why would a system focus so much on training instead of true education? Well, the argument goes that this wasn't some mistake. It wasn't a bug in the system. It was the entire point.
And this quote just nails it. Think about it. If you're building a large, stable society that needs to run smoothly, the last thing you want are a bunch of people constantly questioning the rules. An independent mind, a truly educated mind, is unpredictable. And to a system that craves stability, unpredictability is a threat.
And this had a direct effect on how our minds were wired. Day in and day out, you learned some powerful lessons. You learned that getting the teacher's approval was way more important than following your own curiosity. You learned that the grade, the letter A, was the prize, not actually understanding the material. And maybe the biggest one of all, you learned that truth comes from an authority figure, not from your own investigation.
In a system like this, wild, untamed things like creativity and curiosity have to be put in a box. So creativity became coloring inside the lines, making sure your project looked like the example. And curiosity? That was only okay as long as you were asking questions that would be on the test.
Okay, so that's the diagnosis. But what's the real-world fallout from all this? What's the consequence of being trained this way? And, what can we even do about it now? And this is the kicker. This is the ghost of the classroom that follows us into our adult lives. We become adults who are waiting for permission to start a project, waiting for our boss to give us the green light, waiting for anyone, to tell us it's okay to try something new. That habit of waiting for instructions gets burned in deep.
So let's just put it as plainly as possible. The system prepared you to be a functioning piece of society, to do your job, to fit in. It did not prepare you to deeply understand that society, to challenge it, to improve it, or to build something different.
But look, realizing this isn't a reason to get bummed out. It's actually the opposite. It's empowering. The path forward is pretty simple, even if it's not always easy. Step one is just this: awareness. Just seeing the system for what it was. That's half the battle. Step two is where the real work begins: action. You start your own education by questioning the things you've always just accepted. This isn't about rejecting everything you were taught. It's about asking why you believe it. Is it because you were told to, or is it because you've truly examined it for yourself?
And that's where we're going to leave it, with a challenge to you. Your real education doesn't need a classroom or a teacher. It can start right now. It starts with a single question. So, of all the things you've been taught to believe about the world, about your career, about yourself, what's the first one you're going to put under the microscope?